Hey guys, thank you for tuning in. It's Evan St. Ford here with just life lessons. You know, one of the things I've done growing up is I always model different individuals, right? And what do I mean by that? I mean, like, you know, there's individuals, we talked to my dad the other day, but there's individuals that you can see have either found some sort of path to success, or they have the blueprint on, you know, what it takes to get to where they want to be. And today I have the privilege, and I'm so thankful that a good friend of mine, colleague, I would say mentor, he's a leader in our community. He was the mayor of the city of North Miami, He also has his own medical practice, and he's involved in just so many different community affairs and so many different businesses and organizations that I really wanted to have a chance to talk to him one-on-one and also give you guys insight on what it took him to get to where he is today. Born and raised in Haiti, so it wasn't an easy path for Dr. Smith. And I wanted to say today, Doctor, thank you for giving me the opportunity to take your time out. I know you left your medical practice today and you sat with me here today, and I really appreciate it. You know, Doctor, me growing up, right? And, you know, you still have black hair. So I've known you since I was like a kid, and you still have black hair. So whatever you do, you got to give me the secret.
Well, yeah, because I'm not at that age yet.
But one thing I've always paid attention to is, and thank you, because you've always been supportive of me and my family. So I want to thank you for that. But you've always been a good example of what a real man is supposed to be. And what do I mean by that? You know, you're a great father. You know, you have beautiful children. You've invested in your children. Beautiful wife that is also doing her own thing. She's a lawyer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And you have your own business. And even with you and all of these things that you have managed to do, you still found time to get involved in politics, and you became the mayor of North Miami. So I wanted to ask you, like, you know, just you growing up as a child, you know, what was it like, and what kind of gave you this drive to get to where you are today?
Well, you know, actually, it is for me to thank you for inviting me to this show. And as we were talking earlier before the show, we were talking about the importance of showcasing, you know, our community, and to show the people that the Haitian community pretty much has so much to offer, young professionals like you and other people around us. And what drove me to accomplish what I have accomplished, I think I can only give credit to God, the Holy Ghost, and that has been, you know, my drive, my source of energy. Ever since I was a kid, I remember I must have been maybe, well, my father died when I was 10 and left my mom with 6 kids in Saint Louis du Nord in Haiti. And we were raised by our grandparents and some of our uncles. But not one day have I ever thought that any other kid who has both parents, you know, was any better, that they could accomplish more than I could.
Okay.
Some way, somehow, God implanted in me this drive to just do good and to excel, because I guess in a way I was and I still am a big coward.
Okay.
Coward meaning that I see people living their lives with no plans of tomorrow, and I mean I just couldn't live with that idea of not having a plan, and because when the rainy days come, you have to have the proper resources for you to really not just survive, but to go higher, to go above the fray, and realize, you know, and live the life that you were sent on this earth to live. And one other thing that actually I was going to forget, when I was in school, I was always one of the 3 top students in my class. Of course, and I always, when I left Haiti at the age of 18, I cried. I cried for at least 6-9 months. I was here. I cried every day. You know why I kept crying?
Why?
Because I came to this country, I was 18, of course, you had to start working in hotels, fixing rooms, vacuuming hotel rooms, working in restaurants, in factories and everything. I always wondered, 10 years, 15 years from the time that I came here, when I meet my old classmates and they become doctors, they become lawyers, they become engineers, teachers, what am I going to be then?
You were already thinking like that.
Oh yeah, I was always thinking like that, and I was telling my son yesterday. After my father passed away, I was 10 years old. Maybe 1 or 2 years later, I was of course in primary schools in Haiti, that is, and being raised by my grandma and my grandpa, and of course the summer vacation comes. You know how it is, summer vacation, you 10, 11, 12 years old.
Right.
What do? You just in the streets, you go to the river, Frankie probably knows what I'm talking about. We go to the river, we just walk around in groups of 4, 5 kids, and we just walking around.
Right.
And then one day I got up, I said, Grandma, there was a tailor, my father was a tailor too. Okay. And there was a tailor in the neighborhood. I told my grandmother, you know what? In the morning, we just get up and go walk around. I'm going to go to Boss Arthur. His name was Boss Arthur. Okay. I say, I'm going to spend a few hours with him every morning. I would go at 8 o'clock until about 12, 1 o'clock to learn how to sew, how to stitch and everything. He said, oh my God, at this early age,
you want to learn.
You want to do all this and leave your friends and everything? And then she said, son, I know I don't have to worry about you now. So I remember these moments, and even when I come here to this country, we were living in Little Haiti, of course, on 44th Street, and near the railroad. Okay. I would go every afternoon after I come from school or from work. If I was off from work, I would go stand or sit on the railroad with a piece of paper, writing, projecting of what I really want to do in life.
So you already like writing it all down and...
Yeah, so planning your life is not a passive thing, it's an active. You have to be on it every day.
So, speaking of that, so let's just talk about you being a doctor, owning your own medical practice. Did you envision that too when you would think about what you wanted to do? Like, what motivated you to be a doctor? Because is there any doctors in your family?
Yeah, my cousin, my older cousin. As a matter of fact, I followed the same path. I became a pharmacist first. Then after becoming a pharmacist, 2 years later, then I proceeded to go to medical school, which is exactly what he did. But you know what? I cannot think of anything else. Ever since I was a kid, when we were playing, I always played the role of doctor.
Got you.
So if I didn't become a doctor, I didn't know what else. But I was a pharmacist, which is close to being a physician. But if I was not in the medical field, I don't know. I don't know what I might have been because I never thought of anything else.
Other than that?
Yeah, other than being a doctor.
And so do you think maybe your cousin also helped you said, in terms of just creating that vision for you?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And so when you finished and you graduated and you became a doctor, because I know a lot of doctors sometimes, unfortunately, get into student debt, not asking about it, but how did you end up owning your own practice? Because that's another mission and a half.
Yeah, again, like I said, planning your life is not a passive thing. You cannot be in a passive state and expect that everything is going to happen.
Show up, right?
From the first day of my matriculation in med school, of course, the physicians, they come in and they ask us, what do we aspire to, what type of, specialty we would want to go into, and they give us the Myers-Briggs, test. To see what your personality is, what type of specialty your personality would match. I remember when I was a pharmacist, I had a doctor who was my primary doctor at Mount Sinai, was an internist. And ever since I had met him, I could never see myself other than being where he was. I always saw myself as being able to go every day. I used to envision myself getting to my office 8, 9 o'clock, putting the key in the door myself, getting into my own office. And that's exactly the life that I'm living now. The way that I envision myself,
Right.
and I prayed God on it.
Right.
Some way, somehow, God
Make
answers me in every single thing that I ask. I don't know why. Not that I'm not that I'm a 100% just person. You know,
Right,
we do our little things,
Right,
and,
of course.
and we
Or human.
we are human. But some way, somehow, I can tell you, God has been with me 100% of the way.
Okay.
And I mean that's the drive. I mean the idea of me not being able to decide for myself, not being able to make my own schedule. Like I said, if I were not in that position to talk like that, maybe I would have adapted to whatever situation it would be. But it's a good position to be the way where I am now.
So you've owned your medical practice, I think we were talking, you said, for going on 20 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You've serviced our community, the Haitian community, for a really long time, and you've done good by them. Now, let's talk about the next step, because not only do you have the medical practice, but then you became a politician. You were the mayor of the city of North Miami. Was that also in the plans?
No, that was not in the plan at all. In being a politician, I wouldn't say politician, because not everybody who's in public, like in the public sector, public service, I should say, not all of them are really true politicians per se. There are people who are career politicians. If I wanted to, I could have easily changed from being a physician and being a full-time, a politician. But the idea of me becoming mayor of North Miami is the result of my patients coming in my office with different social problems. A lot of time, my patients would come to my office not because of physical, medical ailments, but because they have social problems. They can't pay their water bills, their electricity bill is too high, their mortgage, they either got robbed by different people doing their income tax, stealing their money. And you with different social problems, that can happen in a community.
Right.
But as a person who grew up in this community, who evolved in this community, and then some of them would say point blank, of course there are people like the stakeholders in the community that would approach me and say that, listen, we need some leaders, and we need people to do good by the community, and sometimes just sitting in your office, putting the stethoscope on them or writing prescription is one thing, but planning, projecting for this community needs somebody like you. So after a year, 2 years, 3 years of people talking to you and ask you that, so I finally decided, not that I didn't enjoy it, but I mean, there were some highs and lows in being a mayor. As we were talking about, I lost a lot of money campaigning. I did about 3 or 4 campaigns before I got elected.
Wow.
And while I was mayor, I had to hire, doctors to work for me, and while I wasn't there. So I lost a lot of money. And I don't regret it. I do not regret it one bit, because I know that the 4.5 years that I spent being a mayor, I know it was a good period.
Yeah, it was.
Not just the Haitian community, but the city of North Miami. I mean, they've come to me, and white, black, Hispanics, and so forth, up to this day. They would come to me, they say, man, North Miami has never known so many good days. And what's that, the magazines, the Biscayne
Times.
Biscayne Times wrote an article about me saying that I was one of I am one of the best mayors that the city has ever known in its history.
Let me just say...
He didn't say the best Haitian mayor.
He said the best
one of the best mayors.
Yeah. I wanted to piggyback off that, because being a young Haitian, growing up in Miami, one thing I can say is when I saw you in that position, me watching everything that you would do just made me feel good. And the reason it made me feel good was because it kind of showed me that, things or dreams can happen for anybody that puts their mind to it. And it was great because it's like, here is it someone that I can relate to that has a similar background as me, that I see in a different position and in a different light, and just moving pieces of a puzzle that are on a bigger scale. And I just wanted to say, man, like I really, that motivated me to do so much more than just, go to work and serve my clients. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. And we can do much more than that. I mean, as you just stated, I don't want to be redundant, in what you just said, but as a people, and it's not, an unknown, truth that, a lot of Haitians come to this country with, I came to this country with nothing, zilch. The only thing I had in this country before I came was my mother. I had my mother and some siblings. But my mom worked in factories, in restaurants and everything. I'm not from a, upscale,
Right.
So to piggyback on what you said, then I'm sure that there's going to be people who grew up in, single family, single parent home, who grew up in poverty. No matter where you're coming from, you could have been homeless.
Right.
And still, as long as you stand up one day and decide and make a plan, but you got to make a plan for yourself. Like I said, you cannot live life passively and expect for things to happen.
Yeah.
For things to change, there are certain projects, for you to realize them, you have to do some extraordinary thing. You can't wake up every day at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock
and expect
things are going to, unless you play lottery and then you win.
Yeah.
So this generation, this generation of Haitian, like you and the younger kids, I mean, they can achieve anything.
Right.
They can achieve anything. Look at the history of Obama. Look at the history of other people who have accomplished so much. Look at the history of Mandela. Mandela went to prison for like 23, 27 years.
Yeah.
And then came out of prison after 27 years,
right.
and became the prime minister or the president of his country.
Right.
So what should that tell anyone?
Right.
So we just have to apply ourselves. Education is number one. I can tell people that had it not been for education, I would not be able to accomplish any of the things that I have accomplished. So education is number one. Stay in school, and stay in school. You don't have to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an engineer, especially nowadays. We are living in a world of technology, globalization and so forth, the stock market. I mean, the kids know where the money is.
Yeah, there's so much more. Yeah.
And it's not just money. You have to have something in you, the drive
in you.
The energy. You have to be able to have a source of energy, something to draw from.
Right.
Me, I draw from God. And everybody can draw from him too, because it's for all of us.
Right. Let me ask you, Doctor, because I know we're almost wrapping it up. What would you say, because this video, hopefully one day you can look back on it and say to us, just like I talked about it in the video, it's all about planning. Do you have any future plans? Only because so one day you can look back on this video and say, see, I told you I was going to do that and I did
it. Well, what? I would like to be able to serve not just the Haitians, but this country.
Okay.
I would like to be able to serve this country in higher office one day.
Okay.
And for you to be, for people like you, me, like the goal-getters, people who do things, we don't just talk the talk, but we walk the walk.
Right.
Usually we like to be in the decision-making positions.
Right.
I like to be in a position where I can make this sound decision, good decision, that would bring some kind of development or evolution to the area where I'm evolving. So, like I said, I would like to be able to serve in a higher office, and should the opportunity come today or tomorrow or next year or 2 years later, I would grasp it and I would pray God and I would ask my wife to stand with me and to do the best, because we don't know what we were sent to this earth for. So whatever the calling is, whatever the opportunity that comes, we have to try it.
So if I give you the red pill or the blue pill, red pill is politics, blue pill is medical practice.
Blue pill is Viagra. I don't.
But which one would you say if you had a choice between politics and being a doctor? Is there one over the other?
You know, being a doctor is you can't touch that.
Okay.
You can't touch that. But some doctors do both. You know, some doctors do both.
Well, I don't know. I think you're the only doctor that I know that has done what you've done with, you know, owning your own practice, becoming a doctor, and then also being a politician. I don't know.
Well, actually, I did the research.
Oh, there's another one.
After I won,
Okay.
I asked the Department of Elections, Miami-Dade County, to do a search for me. They did a search for at least about 3-4 months.
Back.
They gave me the response, and they said that there has, as far as they can see in the archives, there has never been a doctor elected mayor in Miami-Dade County.
Exactly.
So I am
The first
based on the result that they gave me, I am the first mayor and doctor in Miami-Dade County.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think you are. Was Papa Doc in politics before he became president?
Papa Doc?
In Haiti.
Yeah, he was a doctor.
A doctor, yeah, he was a doctor.
But that's in Haiti.
Yeah, in Haiti, yeah. So him and you guys are the only.
Do I look like him a little bit?
All right, well, Dr. Smith, man, I am so happy that you took the time out, and hopefully, you know, whoever was watching today got to see firsthand what it takes to get to a level like Dr. Smith. We're really appreciative of your time, and hopefully, again, you guys, you can check us out on the next video. See you soon.
Power to the people.
Power to the people.